Good morning and welcome back here to our Food for Thought segment. This is the sports betting picks and analysis. This is we're going to do a breakdown here of the college basketball games for the early afternoon games from 12 p.m. games up until 3 p.m. games. And we're going to break down the NHL hockey games. There's some early afternoon action in the NHL. We'll be breaking that down. And at the same time, I'm going to give you some picks at the same time. Later on this afternoon, I'll be doing a video for picks for the NFL and the NBA. And then we're going to be breaking down the late afternoon, evening college basketball games. I'll have picks for those as well too. But first off, we're going to start off with the college basketball, the early games. One of the early games that's going to be happening at 12 o'clock today, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Creighton at Connecticut. The line opened up at -8 Connecticut. Right now the total's 148. Right now we're looking at 7.5. Let's see. There's some 7.5s right now. And we're looking at 146.5. That's the consensus right now. If y'all are wondering where the odds and lines are coming from, it's coming from here. This is oddslogic.com. Oddslogic.com. The latest lines and the latest up-to-date information. Injuries, the whole 9 yards is oddslogic.com. That's where we're getting all the information from today. Okay, so now we're going to look into this game further. Creighton versus Connecticut. We'll look at the team's recent last 10, how they did in the last 10 games. Their current format in the last 10 games, Creighton, Connecticut. So right now, on the Creighton side, 7-3 in the last 10 games. 7-2 against the spread. 7-2-1 last 10 games against the spread. 6-4 to the over. Connecticut, 9-1 last 10 games. 6-4 against the spread. 6-3-1 to the over. In a game like this, since both teams are trending to the over, and since both teams have played within their conference, I'm going to lean to the over. Over one. Let me get the right number here. Hold on. Over 146.5. We're seeing some 147s that are popping up now. One book has it, but I'm sure other books are going to follow. The other books are following. So it's 146 the consensus, but we're seeing 147. So again, I would lean to the over. Not sure if I'll get to the window on this one. Is this a lean? But if you do like the over, get it at 146.5 now, because like I said, it is going to 147. Even at 147, I'd still play it. So I lean over in that game. In terms of this, regarding the sides in this game, let me take a look deeper into this. As we look into the sides on this basketball game. Sides in this game. Let's see. I would look at first half Creighton. Creighton 4.5 in the first half. You know what? Make that. I'm going to take Creighton here. Creighton 4.5 first half. I'm going to bet this one here. This is going to be one of my bets today. Creighton plus 4.5 in the first half. Give me that. Again, Connecticut a little bit shaky. That's why I didn't want to. I didn't have a commitment to the full game because they're very shaky. Their last couple starts. I know the last game they played better, but before then they're a little shaky. Hard to trust to cover the full game, even the first half too. So and until I see some consistency from them, I'm going to go with the first half Creighton, plus 4.5, at least for the first half. I'll lean that way. I'm actually going to, this will be my play. Creighton plus 4.5 first half. I'm going to go that route. So I like that one a lot. The next game we're going to look at, another one's at 12 o'clock this afternoon. The other 12 o'clock game we're going to look at, Alabama at Kentucky. This one's a nationally televised game. I believe it's on ESPN or CBS, so one of the two networks, but it's a nationally televised game. Line open up Kentucky -3, total 178.5. Currently, right now, we're seeing 2.5s on the board. We're seeing some 2s, but mainly 2.5. And we're looking at 177.5. 177. Right now, we're looking as we look at these two teams in the current form. The last 10 games between these two teams. Alabama's ranked number 4, Kentucky ranked number 8 in the country. So, the last 10 games, we're not going to do head-to-head because head-to-head, that's in the past. Whatever happened last year doesn't really apply, in my opinion, for college basketball for this season. It's a whole new genre, a whole new thing. So it doesn't really apply. It's not irrelevant to right now. That's why I'm not looking at the past history of the 10 games. I'm just looking at the 10 games Alabama has played against other opposition. Against other oppositions, 8-2 last 10. 6-4 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Kentucky last 10. 7-3 against the spread, 5-5. 7-3, sorry, last 10 games, 5-5 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. So, in this particular game, I'm going to there are two ways to play this game. I like first half over 86.5. I think it'll be. I know these teams have played to the under. I understand that, but with the number moving, now I'm seeing it moved from 178 to 179. I did see a 179 just now. 179.5 at FanDuel. So it's heading in that direction eventually. So we're seeing some 177. So if you like the over, get the 177 now, because some books are going to go to 179. Even at 179, I'd still play the over. But for me, you can play two ways. First half over 86.5. And then you can play the full game, 179.5. It's up to you, or 177.5, wherever you can catch the number. I'd play the over. Both ways I'd play the over. I'm actually going to be doing two separate tickets. For me, personally, I'm doing 86.5 first half over and 179.5 over. I'm doing both tickets. Two separate plays on this one. Like I said, I know both teams are trending to the under the last 10 games. However, since this is a nationally televised game, again, I feel this is going to be an up-tempo. This is going to be an up-tempo game, which is why the first half total is so high at 86. They're expecting some offense, obviously. I think we're going to get that today. And overall, I think just with the line moving the way it's moving and the direction of how the line is moving from 178.5 to 179, it's telling me over the total. So I'm definitely going to fall in line with that. I like that a lot. So I like the over here. Next game we're going to look at, Georgia Tech at Florida State. So the opening line is -9, Florida State. Total 147.5. Right now we are looking at we see a 148.5 at FanDuel, a Other books are still at 147.5, but it's about to go to 148.5. Hasn't gotten there as yet. That's the other 12 o'clock game, but I do expect and anticipate that's going to be going to the 148.5. And as far as the line goes, we're seeing mainly 10s and a halves on the board. So that's where that's at now. So Florida State, Georgia Tech. We'll look here. Last 10 games for Georgia Tech, we're looking at 4-6 last 10, 4-6 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Florida State last 10, 6-4 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. So we'll take a look here. Georgia Tech's lost 3 straight games. They've been flip-flopping over-unders. Florida State, nothing real consistent there. Let's see. This one here, I don't have any play on this game at all. This one's an absolute pass. Florida State, Georgia Tech. Nothing here on this game. Nothing whatsoever. So I'm going to pass on this game. Next game is Houston, number 10 Houston at UCF. This one here has opened up at Houston minus 13, total 138.5. Right now we're looking at 13.5 across the board, and it's 137. Actually, $137.5. That's what we're looking at right now. Okay, so Houston Central. So we're going to look at the Houston Central Florida breakdown. We're going to break that down. We're going to look at the last 10 games between these two teams against other competition. And we'll see if I can get a pick here for you on this game. So Houston's last 10 games, we're looking at, let me pull up one moment. Houston's last 10. Nine and 1 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Houston has won. 10 games in a row. Out of the 10 games they've covered, 6 out of the 10 games. And they've been covering on the road at Kansas State, at Oklahoma State. They've covered 2 on the road. Very impressive. Now they have Central Florida, 8-2 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 6-3-1 to the over. They've covered big spreads too. They've covered at Arizona. They were 17-point dogs. They covered at ASU, Arizona State University. They covered Texas Tech. They've covered the big double digits. Central Florida. They've really been covering. And they've gone over 3 straight times. Let's see here. I'm just looking. I'll lean to the under. Under 130. Under. Let's get the proper number here. Definitely under Houston and Central Florida. I think I've mentioned this in the past. When they're double-digit favorites, and you have a low total of this nature, you always want to bet the under in this game. Always under no matter what. Defense does travel. Houston's defense will travel very well. I like the under here. It's under 137.5. I like that a lot. As for the side, I would lean to Central Florida. Central Florida has been covering spreads on the road. Very impressive spreads they've been covering. They're at home. They have been covering on the road. They're a bit battle tested. I'll give them that. They've covered and won some games. So I would take Central Florida plus the 13. I like Central Florida to cover the plus the 13. And I like the under 137.5. That's another 12 o'clock, so I like that one a lot. The next game we're going to look at, let's see here. See if I can find the game here. See if I can find it. I just saw it here just now. The other basketball game. We're going to look at Clemson at Pitt. The Clemson-Pitt matchup that we see here. This one here, let's see. This one opened up -3, 142.5. Right now we're looking at mainly it's mainly 4.5. 4.5 total 142.5. That's what we're looking at right now. Between Clemson and Pitt. This one here is in Pitt. So we're going to go over the last 10 games that they played against other opponents. The last 10, 7-3. Clemson 6-4 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Last 10, 6-4. Pittsburgh 4-6 against the spread, 7-3 to the over. Clemson's won 2 straight games. They've gone 4-1 and 5-1 their last 6 games. They've been playing very well their last 6 games. They did win at Georgia Tech. Lost at Louisville as a 3.5-point dog. And now they're in Pittsburgh. Alright, so we'll look into this matchup further. Let me see what's happening here. One moment. I'm going to look into this matchup. See what we can find in this game. So we're looking at Pitt. Pitt versus Clemson. Give you my thoughts on that game in a moment as we look for it. Alright, so my take on this game, I do like Pitt at 4.5. I like Pitt here a lot. If you want, I can even take him on the money line. I wouldn't blame you for that either. But I like Pitt 4.5 here. I definitely like him here. Again, the reason why is because we know that Pitt has lost 3 straight games. We know they're in a little bit of a slump. 3 ugly games. But this is a buyback spot for Pitt here. The reason why it's a buyback spot is because we see Clemson's red hot 6-1 in conference play. They have the easiest schedule according to KenPom. Very easy schedule. They haven't played any steep, deep, heavy competition. So this is the reason why this is a letdown, and This is a good regression and letdown spot here for Clemson, because this is like next level Pitt's like next level competition. Even though they lost 3 in a row, they lost at Duke, which is the toughest place to play in college basketball. And so, with that being said, I like Pitt here at up to 4.5, even at 5. I wouldn't go as far as that. So I think this is a bounce back spot here. Like I said, you can take the money line if you want to play it safe, but I'm taking the 4.5. I like Pitt. I like him here to bounce back. In terms of the total, we're looking at the total here we mentioned earlier. Let's see. So the total I would look at for the over-under regarding that. So that's Pitt and Clemson. Yeah, so regarding the total, no play actually on the total. No play on the total. The total, a little bit uncertainty with that, so no play on the total. Just Pitt -4, 4.5. I played up to 5, and that's it. But I like Pitt. I like Pitt a lot here. Like I said, this is a step up in competition for Clemson. Easiest schedule they've played so far in getting to KenPom. So I like Pitt here a lot. You can mark me down for that. I like Pitt. Next game is going to be George Washington at George Mason. The line right now for this game, -8. George Mason favored. Total 136.5. Right now we're looking at -9. -9. Total being at 137.5. We're seeing some 138s, but mainly 137.5. George Washington at George Mason. So we're going to look at the last 10 games each team has played against other opposition. So George Washington 7-3 last 10 games, 4-5 against the spread, 4-1 the over/under. And George Mason, we have 8-2 last 10, 4-6 against the spread, 3-7 to the under. And they've won 3 straight games as well, George Mason. So George Mason has not been good against the spread, 4-6 against the spread, been horrible. Never really been covering as a favorite. They haven't covered in 3 straight games as a favorite. And this is at home too. So they've won, but they haven't been really covering. So like in a case like this, I would let's look here carefully at this one. I would lean to George Washington plus 9.5. I would take George Washington here. This is just a lean. Now, George Washington has covered 2 straight games. 2 straight games they've covered as an underdog. So yeah, I would lean to George Washington. Not sure if I'll get there or not, but I would lean that way at the 9.5. But yeah, that's just a lean for that game. Total wise, no play on the total. Pass on the total. No play whatsoever on that. Next game will be Auburn at Georgia. Auburn number 1 in the country against Georgia number 23. The numbers for this game we're looking at -7.5 Auburn, total 147. Right now the line is at, we get the consensus here, minus 6.5, and it's at 145.5. That's where we're at right now. Auburn, Georgia. The last 10 games for Auburn against other opposition. 9-1 last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. Georgia 8-2 last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 3-7 to the under. So Auburn has won 9 games in a row. So Auburn's won 9 games in a row. Out of the 9 games, they have covered at least 4 of the 9 games. They've covered this spread. 4 out of the 9 games they've covered. So now they're on the road. They've covered 1 road game at Ohio State. They got to go to Georgia. Georgia, they've covered once against Kentucky of the dog. Now you got to play Auburn, 5.5. So I'm looking here. Let's see. So this one here, this is a 1 o'clock start. I would lean to the I would lean to the under. I look at under 146.5. Again, this is a conference matchup. And in a conference matchup, in this type of situation here, Georgia's at home. They've gone under 7 times in a row. Actually, excuse me, 4 times in a row. Georgia's gone under 4 times. Auburn, they've been flip-flopping over unders. I like the under here. Remember, it's a conference game, conference divisional game. So both teams are familiar with each other to a certain degree. So that's why I factor in the under in this game. And then from the line, from the totals perspective, from what we're seeing, it's come down to 145.5. We're seeing 146.5, but mainly 145. So and that's another thing, that the total is dropping from 147 to 145.5. We're even seeing 146s. But it's dropping, so it tells you that this game's. That's another reason why I feel that this game's going to go under the total, under 146.5 in this game. I like that a lot. In terms of the side, no opinion on the side. I'll be leaving that alone. No opinion on that whatsoever. I just like the under in that game. Next game we're going to look at Kansas State, Kansas. This is the Missouri in-state rivalry. So Kansas 15.5 total 138.5. Right now we're looking at consensus 139.5, and we're looking at, it's mainly still 15s out there. I see 114.5. That's FanDuel. It's mainly 15s. So it hasn't really moved much. So basically, what this is telling me, I'm gonna go look. Let me look into this into a minute. I'll get to this in a second. I have a good feel on this game. Very good feel on it. So Kansas State. So Kansas is number 9 in the country. Last 10, Kansas State 3-7, 5-5 against the spread, 5-5 to the over/under. Kansas State's lost 4 straight games. And they've covered 2 and have not covered 2. Kansas, meanwhile, they had won 3 in a row but lost at Iowa State. They've gone under incredibly, man, 10, 11 times they've gone under. Actually, 10 times. 10 straight unders for Kansas. So there are 2 things I like about this game. The first one that I like, I like the under 139.5. And I'm going to lean, I like the under more a lot. Kansas style of play out of home will definitely influence K-State. So there'll be a major influence on that. And I'm leaning to Kansas State University. I like them to cover. It's just a lean, but my stronger play on this game is the under. Under 139.5. I like that angle a lot. 139.5 to the under. I like that angle. And from what we're looking at the line here, even though it's going up from 138 to 139, I'm still going to ride the under because Kansas is on a 10-game under streak. So I like to back teams that are on an under streak. So I ride that streak until it dies out. So I'm going against the public play. I'm going to bet the under 139.5. I'm going to do that. That's my other play. And I lean Kansas State. I'm going to lean that way. Let me see if I see anything else for this game. Yeah, nothing else on this game. Just a lean under 139.5. That's it. I'm sorry. I'm taking 139.5, and I lean Kansas State. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. Next game we're going to look at, let's see. SMU Miami. So SMU we'll get the current number for that now, for SMU Miami. It is, let's see. See if I can find a lot of games today in college. I'm trying to find it. Just bear with me for a moment as I try to find this game. A lot of college basketball today. Here we are. So SMU is -5. They're favored. Total 156.5. Right now we're looking at 5.5, with the total being 155.5. So we're looking at that. In terms of the matchup, now. These two teams have never faced each other before. But however, the last 10 games, 8-2, 6-4 against the spread, 5-5 total for SMU. Florida, last 10, 1-9, 2-8 against the spread, 4-5-1 to the under. So they have lost 6 games in a row. The Canes have lost 6 in a row. But with the 6 losses, they are 3-2-1 to the over in those 6 losses. 3-2-1 to the over. So this game here, I know they're playing for the very first time, so this is fairly new territory. In this game, I'm gonna say, actually, there's no play on this game. This is gonna be a pass. I have no play on this game. A lot of uncertainty. No play on this game whatsoever. Just a bit of uncertainty for this game. So nothing on that one. Arizona, Texas Tech. So Texas Tech -4. Let me just get back to that one moment. Yeah, -4 Texas Tech favored. Total 151. Right now we're looking at we're looking at 150 and -4. So that's really moved. Sorry, we're looking at -150, 4.5. That's the main consensus. So regarding this game, Arizona, Texas Tech. Head to head, 2-0. Actually, sorry, we'll look at the last 10. Last 10 games against other opposition, 8-2, 6-4 against the spread Arizona, 5-5 over under. Texas Tech last 10, 7-3, 6-4 against the spread, 5-5 over under. So Arizona, they have won 7 games in a row. 7 straight games for Arizona. So they have, out of the 7 games they had, as a favorite, they have, as a dog. They did cover at Cincinnati as an underdog. That's the only time they're an underdog. Now they're in Texas Tech. So Texas Tech, they're favored here, 3.5. And to me, Texas Tech, they haven't really played anybody, in my opinion. They haven't played anybody. They're not really that battle-tested. In comparison to Arizona, I feel Arizona's more battle-tested than Texas Tech, in my opinion. So, with that being said, with Arizona, Texas Tech. This is a tough one here, but let's see here. I'll lean to Arizona, but I wouldn't bet it yet. I would wait for a better number, because right now it's not a strong play for me, but I would lean that way. Because right now, like I said, it's 3.5. I wait till at least gets to 4 and 4.5, and then I would take Arizona. That's just me. I would take them +4 at 4.5. Like I said, it's just a lean. No strong play on that game at all. But like I said, if you like that, that's what I would do if you're liking that. As for the total, no play on the total. The total's a pass. Let's see. Wake Forest, Virginia Tech. That's the next game. Wake Forest -4. Let's look at the opening number here. Yeah, so Wake Forest -4, total 135.5. Right now we're looking at, so actually open up 5.5, Wake Forest, total 137. And right now we're looking at 4.5, and it's at 136. So Wake Forest -4. against Virginia Tech. We're going to look into that now. Wake Forest's last 10 games, 7-3, 6-4 against the spread, 5-5 to the over/under. Wake Forest has won 4 straight games. Out of the 4 games, they've won 2 games on the road. They won at Miami and they won at Syracuse. Out of the 4-game winning streak, and they've gone 3-1 to the over. As for Virginia Tech, 5-5, 6-4 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. Virginia Tech in their last 5, 3-2 in their last 5. As an underdog, Virginia Tech 4-1 as a dog in their last 5. So they've done pretty well as a dog. They've been playing pretty well. I'm going to go with the home dog. Virginia Tech's a live home dog. I know Wake Forest has covered 2 straight, but in my opinion, I find Virginia Tech to be a bit more battle-tested, and they've covered very well as a home dog. They've done extremely well. So I like him here at plus 4.5 Virginia Tech. I think they can cover the spread. I think they cover it. I like that one. That's a strong play for me, Virginia Tech. We look at the next game here. Let's see. Arizona State, Cincinnati. Cincinnati minus 10. Number 16 ranked Cincinnati at home against Arizona State. We're going to look here. Let's look deeper into this one. So again, another West Coast team coming to the East Coast at Cincinnati. Let's look at that line there. So open up 9.5. Cincinnati total 134. Right now we're seeing 10.5, and we're even seeing an 11. 11's popping up right now. Yeah. So my take on this game is, let me get through the breakdown first. Let's do the actual breakdown in this game. This is going to be a strong play. This is going to be another strong play for you. They have not faced each other before. Last 10 games, 5-5. Arizona 6-4 against the spread, 2-8 to the under. Cincinnati last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 3-7 to the against this 5-5 even, 3-7 against the spread, 1-9 to the under. I like 2 plays in this game. Cincinnati has been a money machine for unders. Defense does travel. They've gone 8 straight unders. Cincinnati, incredible feat. Now the thing is, they haven't covered a big spread at home against a quality opponent. Arizona State's on the road here. They've had trouble covering double-digit spreads. They didn't cover in Kansas State, or Kansas. They never covered there. They didn't cover at BYU. So I got 2 plays in this game. I got Cincinnati they're at minus 11. I take Cincinnati at minus 11. You can get them at 10.5. Take Cincinnati at 10.5. Definitely take Cincinnati here. And I take the under. Right now, I look at the under in this game. Under 136.5. I know it's trending upwards, but I like the under. I think their under streak continues. Cincinnati minus 10.5 up to 11. And I take the under. So I'm doing 2 separate tickets. I'm not doing no same game parlay for this game. It's going to be 2 separate plays. And I would advise you to do the same thing as well. Don't put it as a same game parlay. Separate them. Separate those plays. If you're doing parlay, separate them. Do not put them together. But I like the under, and I like Cincinnati to cover the points. I like him at 10.5, 11. I think they cover the points. Let's see here. See if I see anything else. Xavier Marquette. This is another marquee game. Xavier and Marquette. Marquette minus 10 as the opening number. Total 149. Right now we're looking at mainly 9.5. Total being 149.5. So it hasn't really moved much. So Xavier and Marquette. Last 10 games for them, Xavier 4-6, 7-3 against the spread, 4-5-1 to the under. Xavier's won 2 straight games. We've covered 2 in a row as well. Marquette, last 10, 8-2, 2-8 against the spread, 5-5 over under. Marquette has won 6 games in a row. Out of the 6 games, they've covered only once out of 5 games. Only 1 cover. So they haven't really been covering the spread. They're not a good covering team at all. I would lean towards Xavier. Xavier and the 9.5. I'd take Xavier. And then it's a lean though. It's not a strong play. I would just lean that way. And I like the under 149.5. I like that a lot. So I would lean to the under 149.5. I'm sorry, I'd play under 149.5 for me. I like that. Lean to Xavier, but that's not a stronger play. Let's see here. There's any more games? North Carolina at Stanford. There's another game to look at. So Stanford, North Carolina, minus 11 is the opening number. Total 155. Right now we're looking at minus 12, 156. So Stanford on this West Coast trip. Remember their last game that they played, and I believe they got blown out in this game. They played Wake Forest on the road, and they got smashed. That's their last game on the road trip. And now they got to go to North Carolina and play North Carolina. Stanford 5-5, last 10, 4-6 against the spread, 7-3 to the over. North Carolina, last 10, 8-2, last 10, 4-6 against the spread, 2-8 to the under. So in this case here, what I would do, I would take North Carolina to cover the points. I think they covered the 12, minus 12. I like that a lot. Because they destroyed Cal. They've been destroying the West Coast teams. Cal's one victim, and I believe Stanford will be another victim that'll be going down in defeat. So I like 2 games here. I like two plays here. North Carolina minus 12, and I like the under in this game. Definitely like the under. So the under in this game again, 156. I've seen so 156, under 156. I like that. It's mainly 155.5 now. We're even seeing a 156.5. I still bet the under. In this case, I'd still bet the under. So let it keep going up. I'd still take the under. And I like North Carolina to cover the minus 12. I like him a lot here. So those are my 2 plays for that game. Those are my strong takes for that one. Let's see. Uh, Purdue, Oregon. So this is the next game here. Purdue at Oregon. We have here -2 Oregon. Total 149.5. Right now we're looking at 147.5. 2.5. We're looking at that now. So in this game here, let's see here. This is the first game between these two teams. 7-3, last 10, 6-4 against the spread. Purdue 6-4 to the over. Last 10, 8-2. Last 10 for Oregon, 5-5 against the spread, 5-5 to the over/under. So first of all, Purdue, they've done well on the West Coast. They've won 6 games in a row, and they've covered 5 out of the 6 games, leading points. Oregon won 3 straight. Beat Maryland. They beat Ohio State and Penn State. Let's see here. So the way both teams are playing now, I would lean to the under. No, it's not a strong play for me, but I would lean under the 147.5. I like the under in that game. But it's not. But it's just a lean. It's not really a strong play that I have for that. So that's it for the college basketball. We've covered a lot of the games. Those are all the picks for now for college basketball. In my next video, I'll be covering the rest of the games for the late in the day and in the evening. We'll cover the rest of the games. So now we're going to turn our attention to the National Hockey League. A lot of games in hockey. Ton of games in hockey today. First game up, we're going to look at Pittsburgh, New Jersey. This one starts at 12:30 in the afternoon, 9:30 Pacific time. The total in this game is 6. You might see some 5.5s that you might come across, but it's mainly 6s that we're looking at right now. This one here, and Jersey, of course, is favored. Head-to-head, 5-5, 5-5 to the over/under. This is the first meeting of the season. Philadelphia against other opposition, 4-4 and 1-1. Last 10, 4-5 and 1 to the under. New Jersey 3-4, 2-1. Last 10, 3-7 to the under. The only way I would look at this is under 5.5 goals. If you can get at 6, even better at under 6. But I like the under here. Not sure if I'll get to the window with this one, but I would lean to the under. So if you like totals, I would take that. Now for the side in this game, side in the totals, yeah, so he's already said the under. And nothing there on the side, just the I would lean to the under. Next game, Boston at Ottawa. This one here, total 5.5. Ottawa favored. Head-to-head 5-5, 2-8 to the under. So this one here, Boston's current form 3-6-1. Last 10 games, 5-5 over/under. Ottawa 4-4-2. Last 10, 0-8 to the under. So this one I like the under a lot. Just basically, both teams, as they are now, the current form of these teams are trending to the under. Last 10 have gone under as well. So those are the two things that correlate. That makes me like the under 5.5 goals. If you can get at under 6, even better. Next game here, Dallas at Colorado. Total here at 6, 5.5, 6, depending on where you shop. Colorado favored in this one at home. Head-to-head 6-4 Dallas, 6-3-1 to the over. They played earlier this year, November 29th in Dallas. Total was 6.5. It went over the total, and Dallas won 5-3 at home. Now they're in Colorado. So Dallas, last 10 games against other opposition, 8-2, 1-6-3 to the under. Colorado 6-3-1, last 10, 4-6 to the under. No real strong play here, but I would lean towards the under, but it's not really a strong play of mine. Regarding this game, yeah, so nothing really here, just I lean to the under, that's it, just a lean, not an official play. So far my official play for hockey is Boston and Ottawa, over 5.5 goals, that's the main one so far. Next game, Anaheim at Florida. This one here, open up 6, and certain places 5.5, depending on where you shop. Anaheim 4-4-1-1 last 10, 3-6-1 to the under. Florida 4-5-1 last 10 games, 4-6 to the under. Both teams in a major slump. Yeah, the only way you can look, you'd have to look at it under. Anaheim, Florida, you have to look at under. Under 5.5 goals. That's the only way to look at this one. Can't look at it any other way. In terms of the side, there's no side. Now, Anaheim's on a major road trip. This is the last game of the road trip. They are 1-4 on the road trip. I'm sorry. Yeah, let me see. I'm just looking at something. One moment. Yeah, 1-4 in the last 5 on the road. So again, they're playing to the under on the road, as you can see. Yeah, no real play here at all. So this one's a pass. Detroit, Tampa Bay. Detroit total 6, 5.5, depending on where you shop. This one here, I'm seeing now 6.5. So if you see a 6.5, that's what we're seeing right now. In terms of the matchup, we're looking at Detroit last 10 to 8-2, 9-1 to the over. Tampa Bay last 10, 4-5-1, 4-6 to the under. So Detroit has won 4 of the last 5 games, and they've gone 4-1 to the over last 5 games. This one's at 6.5. I would take the under 6.5 goals. I like the under there. Yeah, I would lean to the under. Yeah, lean under 6.5 goals. I like that one a lot. In terms of the side, no side on this play at all. Just like the under. Pittsburgh, Washington. Totals at 6. 5.5 and where you shop. They played last year, November 8th of last year, in Washington. Total was 6.5. Pittsburgh won in Washington 4-2. So look at Pittsburgh here. It's 3-4-1-2 last 10, 6-3-1 to the over. Washington 6-1-1-2 last 10, 4-6 to the under. So me in this case, Washington's won 3 straight games. They've gone under 3 straight times. In this case here, I like Washington. Yeah, I like Washington here. Washington's at home again. I know Pittsburgh's already beat them already, but I like Washington here. Washington's in a great spot, and I think they'll extend their winning streak to 4 games. I think they get the win on the money line. I think they win the game. And in this game, I would lean. Just under 6.5. I'll do the under 6.5 goals. That's it. Pittsburgh, Washington. I'm sorry. Did I say 6.5? Sorry about that. Pittsburgh, Washington, under 5.5 goals. Sorry, I said 6.5. Under 5.5. I would take that, and Washington on the money line. I like that a lot. Next one, Toronto, Montreal. This one here. The total is 6. We might see some 5.5s. Toronto favored in Montreal. They played twice already. First game October 9th in Montreal. Montreal won 1-0. Under 6 goals. Second game in Toronto, 4-1. Toronto was under 6.5 goals. I like the under here. Toronto's more like an under team. As for the last 10 games, 6-4, and then 4-6 to the under. Montreal 8-1-1 last 10, 3-6-1 to the under. So everything correlates to the under. This looks like this very much correlates to the under. Last 3-4 games have gone under, so this is a correlation to the under. So I like under 5.5 goals. Toronto at Montreal. I like that one a lot. Columbus Rangers. Columbus Rangers. This one here, 6.5 was the over-under. Rangers favored in this game. 6-4 last 10, 5-5 head-to-head. Columbus 8-2 last 10, 6-4 to the over. Columbus has won 6 straight games, and they've gone 6-4 to the over. So they've been playing very well. And out of the 6-game losing streak, they're 3-3 to the over/under. In this game here, I'm going to look. I mentioned to you before, any Columbus games. I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, but any Columbus games, blindly bet the over. These games you have to bet over for those Columbus games, because they expect a lot of offense, especially this year's Columbus team. So I like the over. Over 6.5. Over 6.5 Columbus Rangers. I like that one a lot. Okay, so that's it for this video. Now, that's it for all the hockey for now. I've given you all my picks for tonight for hockey. Now we do have we have a second video that we're going to do, like I mentioned before. It'll be the latter part of the hockey games we're going to get into. The evening games for college basketball. I'll have my picks in place for that. And we're going to do the NFL games. 2 NFL games today. Alright, so for now, just go over what we talked about for all the games I gave you. Try and squeeze in those early college basketball games that I mentioned to you before 12 o'clock. There's a lot of them out there. Squeeze them in as fast as you can. Until then, I'll see you in the afternoon. Stay blessed. Stay true to your heart. Believe in yourself. Fade or follow the picks that I gave you. It's up to you. I just pick what I feel is the correct side or the correct total, but it's up to you to fade or follow. Good luck to you guys. Peace. See you this afternoon.